Good evening, free enterprise fans, and welcome to this evening's Runners Review. We are reviewing the top two place runners in the Hook 2 play-in race. Winning that race was Dathus is joining us, as well as BigDunka, who finished right after him. Welcome, gentlemen.
Welcome, thank you.
Thanks, Vitasia.
This was absolutely a fire race, and no spoilers. I was third in this race, so I kind of know how things played out. But this was absolutely, this was all the marbles. There were 24 of us all in this race, and it was win or go home. First place out of all of this. So, before as we get the race here started here, both Dathus and BigDunka, can you guys talk to me a little bit through about some of your pre-game planning that you would do, knowing the size of this race?
Yeah, I'll start. So anything that you can trim off the top needed to be trimmed. As little checks as possible can be made, and I know I personally had a couple of metagame choices that I would have done. Would have done. That'll come out here in a bit when everything gets going. But yeah, it is anything that could be trimmed needed to be trimmed. And then just hope you get a little lucky. And then, of course, we see the objectives. And yeah.
Yeah, first thing I thought was the amount of people here. If we have a nice quick seed, it's going to be I have to dial back my inner loot goblin, which is my biggest problem. Sorry, my second biggest problem. And that was just a big thing. And hilariously enough, not kidding, after my race with my third race from the play-in stage previously to get to this play-in game, I had said to myself, you know what? I should practice low equipment, new starter stuff, Z fights. They'll never come up again, but I might as well start practicing once or twice. So that was an honestly thought like 2 days before this seed.
Absolutely. And as we get the streams go ahead and going here, these objectives to start with. I mean, Kokol and for the Adamant and Legend Sword, conquer the Vanilla Crystal Sword, and then two freebies, defend Fabul and defeat the Waterfall boss. I mean, this screams a little bit of terror right when we open the gate, doesn't it?
Oh yeah. This is my worst fear in a race this size.
Yeah, I was thinking, okay, we're gonna come in here. It's gonna be a hook start, or a magma key start, and I'm like, okay, Kane, perfect partner to go with Rosa. Great for the early overworld if you find weapons. And there's go mode right there. It was just, and as I've joked around, it's internally screaming and a little bit of words that I cannot repeat for Gambit017, who is in chat right now, and he rolled this fabulous seed.
Yeah, so we get the Darkness Crystal right out of the gate. So this is, a sub 10 second go mode. Everyone's blood pressure right now spikes. So what's your first impression? Like you guys were both already talking about, okay, let's trim what you can trim. What's your first priority right now?
Find Tella.
100% that. And you'll see, I think it looks like we both do. Wow, it almost looks like we're in sync. I'm a little bad with my pathing. Yeah, we both run right to Mysidia. I do a little bit different than I think. Did you go right up to the Moon Dunker, or was that just me that did that?
No, I don't.
So,
but yeah.
So after they kick us out, I do a quick save, and my thought is I lose, I think, like a minute by going up to the moon, checking the shop if sirens are there, if Tella's not there, or checking that super out-of-the-way character, because either this is the big thing, right? If Tella is here and this is the only Tella, this makes or breaks the race, because this just means you grab two other characters you want. Doesn't really matter who, preferably Berserkers with this squad, and then you just go. So if Tella's on the moon, I'm laughing. If not, I lose a little bit of time, but I gain a bit of knowledge, which is the big thing here.
Yeah, and I thought about it as well, but based off percentages, just off of how many free characters there are out there right now, I went to the all of the early clears.
True. Additionally, in the room, I'd said, man, if we have an early go mode and there's an Edward start, I'm going to FF this seed. As you see on screen, we absolutely have an early Edward. This screamed to me that Z strats or reflect strats, things I'm not comfortable with, are 100% on the table, and I was less than thrilled.
All right, so you're both doing kind of the same pretty standard checks. You're like, okay, let's go ahead and check the item shops at this point in time. Dunka, it does look like you're going to be flying away. Dathus, you're saving and going to the moon.
Yeah, as I said, this is where we're looking for exactly 3 things right now with this kind of a go mode. We're looking for life potions, we're looking for ethers, and we're looking for Tela/Siren. So 3 to 4 things depending on how you want to roll it out. So if we have, like I said, if we have any of this on the moon, this is information that's absolutely huge. If nothing's on the moon, then I waste time. But again, any knowledge in a race where there's 23 other people where they don't have to go and they could check later is a big thing. Luckily, I found Ether 1s here. I'm like, okay, keep that in the back of my head if I can't find Ethers anywhere on Earth. So I knew for sure I'd have to come back to the moon. Unfortunate for the long cutscene, but at least I knew where half of my grind materials were.
Then Dunka, you ended up coming over here to the Watery Pass. Now, we did find an edge, which ended up being beneficial for everyone. Kind of the only hard hitter we have early on. And it looks like you faded. You kind of cleared out that first room, and then you were gone. Is that part of your like minimizing as many checks as you possibly can?
I usually don't go any further than that regardless. The back checks, in my opinion, unless you have somebody that has exit, they're not worth it usually, unless I'm just desperate for money or for items.
All right, so Dathus does find that Tela on the moon. One of the calculations that I made, because I also went to the moon as well, you're trying to find the grind. And as you said, the grind is either Tela or Sirens. And at least the item shop, you had kind of 2 shots at this, as opposed to everything else at that point in time. Was that, Dathus, you said that was part of your calculation. Duncan, was that any of your thinking as well? Or
yeah, I just figured the amount of characters there are on the Earth is still worth checking before Moon. I'd make it up there not too far in the future, but I was just going by percentages here. The other reason that this was that I wanted to stay on here is my normal open route, because I still do a little bit of clears. My normal open route would take me eventually to ordeals, which if that were to happen, got to do it anyway. That in the end, it hurts a little bit because by the time that, he's going to go to ordeals, he already has what he needs. But I believe I actually exit out of that, but I don't remember exactly.
all right, so yeah, it looks like
Wow.
his edge. And who did he ditch?
Wow, you ditched
Palom.
the Palom. Wow, okay.
We're not going underground. This team screams Berserk, not Reflect. And Palom is just, he is, in all honesty, the weakest link on this team. If I find a spoon, which I'm not going to spoil anything, if we find a spoon, then Edward becomes infinitely more useful than Palom after the first nerf Big Bang if he doesn't eat the nuke, because he can survive it on 9 times out of 10. So I have Berserkers. This is what's happening. I'm not dealing with Reflect shenanigans. With what I have to do is a low-level grind. I'm not going to have a whole lot of people above 3k HP. So that is a big sacrifice for me to try and find cure potions for anybody. So of who we had, he's calculatably the least valuable member of the team.
Yeah, see, I had a completely different idea on this one because my thought is I'm not even going to bother getting equipment at this point, other than a few checks like I'm doing right now for money, so that I can buy ethers.
100% same.
And I was 100% Reflect at this point.
And
it'd just be a thing. It'd be a solo. Well, this was going to be a hybrid at any point. The problem with Edge is he needs good gear to do a decent amount of damage, and especially with Kane doesn't do a lot of damage anyway. And I had no intention of doing Zerg strats on this. Now, Yang would have been nice. I don't remember what ends up. I think I ditched the Yang, but I can't remember what I end up doing. And the thought at this point is that I can do some hybrid strats, get 15, 20k damage out of my melee, and have Palom finish.
So Dathus was actually able to go quite a bit deeper into that watery pass for the exact same reason that you mentioned earlier, Dunka, because he had that Tella and he could exit out. So it led to him getting a few decent pieces of gear. I saw a diamond ring in there. I don't know if I saw a ton of equipment. I think there was a wizard hat at some point as well.
Yeah, the wizard hat's in here. It's in Antlion. I know that.
Yeah, there was nothing special in there. It was basically, I'm looking for bankroll. I'm looking for a weapon for Kane. If Edge finds something nice, that's wonderful. As you see, the only thing I found was that silver sword, so he's going to be so useful right now. But this was basically, I need to find all the loot I can in the condensed area. That's why instead of going Antlion, I chose here, because this is still a higher tier spot than what Antlion is. So I'm like, hopefully something nice is here and this pays off. If not, well, I got a little bit of bonus experience to handle through ordeals, which is, again, another big thing, because it's going to be literally here to Damsian, to Fabul, to ordeals, and then we grind. So I have to get through those bosses, which is the only reason I did this.
Now, Dunka, you ended up also finding the magma key in Antlion, which is crazy early for magma. So as far as you're concerned right now, this is we were talking a little bit even on one of your streams. I think it was last week or so, just what it does to a seed when the entire world unlocks for you at that point in time, having both Darkness Crystal and magma key, just first two key items, boom, boom. Just what does that do to your routing? The decision-making process and everything that goes from this point on.
Well, in this one, it didn't actually mean anything because there was no way I was going to burn that magma key. Change that. Magma key was plan B. Plan A was still find Tella. And if you don't find Tella, then you can go through magma because you're going to need to find sirens. You're going to need to find another way to grind and all that jazz. But in this case, obviously, we know where Tella is. It just didn't apply. Now, if this would have been the start, like if it would have been, well, this really was the start, I guess. I forgot we're 9 minutes in. If we had an objective that wasn't already solved, then this is an absolute mess because you're just guessing. You've got half a dozen spots on Earth. You've got a half a dozen spots on the moon. You got all the magma free spots. It's just all over the place. So it doesn't exactly apply, but unless I didn't find a Tella, there was no way I was going to turn that magma key in.
So this is where actually I get to my crossroads choice here. When we get Yang, you see that I didn't really hesitate to get rid of the Edward, but I had saved here in case like maybe I get a character that I replace Edward with, and then if I find a spoon within my next check, reset, redo the check, and I come back, because I don't lose a lot of time, but I get myself a fantastic DPS in return. And I'm like, okay, so now let's just do objectives in order of easiest to hardest. Let's get to Fabul, and let's do it. And I'm still wondering if I should have kept this Edward or not in the long run, but in hindsight, I probably would have dropped Eddie for Kane, knowing what I know, but it's still just very, very back and forth about which is the right call at this point.
There's that twin harp. There is an approximate 0% chance that we're
zero.
But no, that's where I'm going next. No, absolutely. It's seeing music. I felt bad. I'm like, okay, so anybody who's on Restream, this isn't going to happen, and we have it early on. It's a little unfortunate because we all love to see what the music is. But yeah, Fabul, any key item we have here, unless it leads to a quick chain to hopefully boost your key item amount, any key item here is literal fluff, and honestly, a less important reward. Anything like a tier 7 item is way better than any key item could ever be here, considering how early of a go mode we have. Like, you're looking for an Avenger for Kane, you're looking for like Dragoon Spear, White Spear, like an X-Cal for Edge to throw, stuff like that. Any key items are literal garbage at this point, since we're in go mode.
So, Duncan, there's your character check. So, what are your nerves right now? Because you haven't found your grind yet, and you're at now 12 minutes into it in go mode.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, you're kind of wondering, and I didn't even have any check Baron yet. Starting to get worried. I mean, you almost always find a Tella. It's very rare that you don't find a Tella somewhere, but now at this point, I'm starting to get really concerned.
So you go in, find second cane, and like, nope.
Not a chance. There's no. I have no interest in anybody at this point.
Did anyone else buy a Soma drop there? Was it just me?
I 100% did. I saw that Soma drop. I'm like, 100 MP. Perfect. There's 4 weeks for you, my boy. Yeah, I spent money on, I think, 4 things total. One of them being that Soma drop. But yeah, it was... The rest of the loot from the back of Watery Pass was a great bankroll. Watery and Damcian were honestly bad for items loaded for money, to be completely honest. Like, was it 40k in Damcian alone, in Damcian, in Earthhammer in the Watery Pass that I'm seeing again. Like, it was money here.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, I don't recall checking chests after this. I don't really remember checking anything else. Because I think we had just enough to get by with the ethers, and that was really all that was important. Ethers and life pots, yeah.
Hey, Duncan, look, it's your boy.
Yeah. It would have saved a lot of time because I wouldn't have had to double dip 2 locations if I would have picked that up. I definitely wouldn't have done Fable. Would have saved that too. Yeah, I was tempted to do it. I was just going off of percentages of characters, one versus, as many. But yeah, it would have been nice.
So Dathus, you mentioned something early as well, that you were one of those people who knew that you loved to open a lot of treasure chests, and right now I can see you kind of fighting your instincts, right?
It took everything in me not to open anything aside from Fabul. Once I looted there, I'm like, nothing else needs to open. This is everything I have. This is enough money. I saw the money I had. I'm like, this is enough for my ethers and enough for my life pots. You're never guaranteed to see a Soma drop in shops, so I'm like, that's completely out of my mind. So I just put that away, said this is the items this is what I have for the rest of everything for Tella's grind, because they're almost guaranteed. Like, I knew where the ethers were, life pots were somewhere. I come in here, I see Soma drop. As I snapped that up. I'm like, that just goes on Tella right now.
Dunka, with his Tella, is now the first really to ascend Mount Ordeals, to unlock Tella's true potential. And by true potential, I mean we just need weak. Like,
that's all we care about is weak.
100%. Yeah, so give us weak and go. No, so the big thing is, before going up there and to continue as they go from there, then to Mysidia and back to the big whale, I'm looking for my items. Where are my life potions? Where are my ethers? Oh, there's Ether 2s right there. That's really good to know about. Reset out of that. So I'm like, I will come back for you when I have more items to sell. So I knew I have to loot the next location. I'm like, I still have more deals. That's not a big deal. Whatever is there, that is just pure money right now. And yeah, you have to hit up Silvera, because again, we're still looking for the biggest part of this grind, life pods. You can have Rosacast Life 1. You can make use of the bare minimum of what you have in the starter kit. But I knew, like, I'm going to have to do about... Looked at Inven's chart that he has, bless that grind chart, that you're going to have to be doing about 20 D machines on average. And yeah, you see, I bought way too many. Tried to buy way too many, but no, it's 20 D machines is about what you're looking for, plus extras for everything else.
Yeah, so I didn't know what the life pots were, so kudos to you. Okay, so Optimum now, I mean, this isn't a bad spot, but it's still, like, the party isn't terribly optimal at this point in time. I mean, you're set up kind of to where you want to be, but it's not optimal, right?
It's edge. That's all. I mean, you've got edge, and then you just pray you don't find anybody that's super strong here.
Well, Edge and Tella are basically carrying you through this, because Edge is damage, and then Tella with Blink. If you have anything with a physical attack, the fights are completely done. Like, you blink them up and you just run and go. And anybody else who comes in here is just like, I saw Porum, and I debated for about 20 seconds before she joined, like, do I pick her up and replace Kayn with her and have 2 Zerkers? Like, no, that's bad thinking. I need every iota of damage I can find right now.
Rosa taking a dirt nap over here for BigDunka. This was kind of an interesting fight because, again, our damage isn't great. Edge, we're really leaning on Edge for the Mom Bomb fight. But once we get to that large 6 bomb phase, because I think I don't know, but I'm pretty sure that we're not going to have the damage to get through. Like, it's just kind of a slog to get through, isn't it?
It is. This is one of the fight. This is Mom Bomb's my least favorite boss in the entire game by far. It's not even close. And finding it at this spot it's very frustrating considering you have to do it. It's not a hard fight at this spot, but it's very irritating.
Final Fantasy J asked, "What is hook route?" Yeah, that's the name of the round. This is kind of the single elimination final match. Everyone who entered the hook route rounds of Swiss finished group stages either 0-3 or 1-2. Lots of fantastic runners through the group stages. So this is effectively the final race of the hook stages, and the winner of this race moves on to tables. It was the most difficult way to get into the final rounds of the tournament, bar none.
Bless that flame damage, Dunka. You took a big hit aside from Edge on the explode. Dang.
I think Flame took out. Well, it was this, and then used it
everyone.
at Magus. I mean, Flame was amazing in this seed.
Yeah. Out of curiosity, why did you have Edge in top as opposed to middle?
At this point, I didn't even bother rearranging my characters. I didn't need to. It was one of those things. I need Tele anchored anyway when I go up to Moon. I didn't want to shift anybody. It wasn't worth the effort.
Fair enough. That makes sense. Yeah, I just wanted to get through these as quick as possible, so I agree with you. But yeah, with the gear we had and everything, it's like you were saying, we're leaning on Edge. I'm actually leaning on Edge and Rosa a little bit. That Samurai Bow is doing a heckin' amount of work. Samurai Bow and arrows that I found are just like cute. Kane has to jump to match her damage, so it's like his Slumber Sword is good, but not that good.
Yeah, I don't think I found a Samurai Bow anywhere. I don't think I saw that.
That was the deeper dive I took into Memory Pass, so that's where that was hiding. But it was not fair, not exactly a fun thing to see these bosses. Like, okay, Edge was basically discount Palom in this aspect. Flame gets rid of them. No big deal, which was the really nice part. Seeing on your side, runners got spoiled. Remember when I said there was a reason why I was debating on keeping that Edward? I 100% would have kept that Edward over Kane if I knew Spoon was at the top of ordeals. Basically just be pure damage.
Any temptation to reset back to it?
The second I saw it, I fought, I think, for about 2 minutes internally. I'm like, okay, so if I reset back there, I lose Fabul, I lose my shopping checks, but I know where everything is. I also lose a little bit of extended looting. I lose more time than what I'm assuming Edward gets me on the final boss. So it's just like, you know what, you are worth it, but you're not worth it. And seeing this free fight here, I'm like, okay, that's one of the few free fights we have. That means that the Crystal Sword Altar will not be this fight, which is good and bad news. Good news, we know where this is. Bad news, it's not where I would like it to be.
Yeah, I don't think taking Eddie there would have gained you at all. I haven't seen this, so I don't know what your end setup is. But keep in mind too, you also have to do at least 6-7 more D machines total before Eddie gets up to a phase where he's even going to survive a Big Bang, unless you go nerfing. That
was another thought I had. It's like his HP pool is so bad. Yeah. I was tempted to do the extra D machines because, again, I know I'm working with a short. Like, I look at this like this is the squad that's demachining and then going and doing the rest of the seed. It is a short middle edge. We have a Fireclaw Yang. We have a Kane with a current, a Slumber Sword, and we have a Rosa who's going to be doing Berserk and Cure 4. She, in fact, cast 3 spells this entire seed. Cure 2, Cure 4, and Berserk for me.
And of course, some Ether 2s being purchased there. Dunka, did you even check the item shop on the Moon? I thought I remember you.
No. I don't think I did. Because at that point, I know I didn't need sirens. Yeah, at this point, there's nothing I care about. I just need to find life pots and go. I mean, it was pretty cut and dry at this point where we were going. unfortunately, I know what's going to happen here in about 5 minutes, and it's painful to know, but because I know where this race was won and lost. But yeah, this is the second Tella pops up. The rest of the party doesn't matter. I've got a Tella, I've got a Rosa, and I got a Palom. I've got everything I could possibly need.
Yeah, and worth pointing out, Dathus, you already had done the waterfall boss at this point in time, but Dunka has a couple levels because he waited until he had already been up ordeals and back, so he was in a little bit better position. This probably saves, maybe 30, 45 seconds at this point in time, but in a race this fast, every second counts, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's basically like the equivalent of like 2-3 minutes on a longer term race. But the thing is if, for example, ethers were not here and I have to double back to this area to do the waterfall boss and I don't have the money to do something else, it can cost you more time because you have to come back to this area after you do everything else. So it's this is another one of those, like, it could be a really good call, it could be a very bad call. In hindsight, I think the smarter call would have been to wait for later, just to have Tella like throw out viruses and such. But it's that 45 seconds could have been make or break here. Thankfully, it wasn't.
Yeah, the reason I don't go there early is because that spot, because of its speed difference, can actually be really difficult depending on the boss that's there. Like, if you find an Odin there, you're not killing it. And there's maybe 4 or 5 bosses at the early stage before you have any levels. There's no chance that you're going to be able to take down without a decent amount of offense. So that was the last thing I was going to do. I already had it in my mind. This is the last thing I'm going to do before going up to the moon. Oh, and here's the difference of the race right here.
All right, so talk us through so you don't set up.
I do not.
I was going to say, things look good right at the moment.
Oh, you rushed right to your D machine grind. You didn't.
Yep.
You didn't reset it, do the manip. Oh man.
You
Tell me
can
you got
start.
lucky and you got it first time.
For
No.
those people in chat who are unaware, that one of our wonderful community members, Twisted Flax, who actually won the Hook Play in 1 race, just to tell you how good the runners were in Hook, one of the major developers of a resource here for our community, run the first Hook Play in. So take notes. He develops a kind of a step path where if you count the number of steps outside Baron, as you see Dathus doing it here, and then realize when the first encounter that you get when it's turned on, you can effectively manipulate the RNG to know exactly what fight you're going to get once you're back up in the giant to set up what's called the D machine grind. It's a fight that is, under normal circumstances, very difficult and something you don't necessarily want to see. But if you're trying to grind levels, it's fantastic because he's vulnerable to weak, and his only attack that he does is a percentage-based attack for fire damage. So you can clear it at really low levels, especially with this Tella setup, and it's just a fantastic grind option at this point in time. And you do have to kind of set it up originally, and BigDunka did not.
Yeah, you can start the clock where it's at right now, 25 and change, and keep in mind how much time is lost versus how much time is at the end. It's painful.
So the nice thing is I don't know if anybody really caught that, is also during my manipulation, I got a fight with 3 imps, and at the end of that, I got an hourglass 1. So that will come into play later, but that was a really good find on that drop, like, because that could be, again, we have a free boss coming. I saw that, I'm like, perfect, we have a free boss at Crystal Altar, then that means that that we're good here. So like that free hourglass put me into a world of a mind of ease.
Dunka, it does look like this is the fight, unless it's going to surprise us with the Sentinel here.
It is not. You got to wait a long time. You guys can go get a drink right now if you want to wait to see when mine comes up. Inven actually stopped me right when I finished and asked me how long it took. And yeah. By then, I had already gone back and seen it.
I mean, Dathus, this is the correct one because you did do the manipulation and sets it up properly. Dunka had to reset out, so it was at, you said 25 minutes?
Yeah, 25. It was 25, 30, something like that when I first started.
It's called 25 40. Let's say that just for argument's sake. But yeah, it's the manip with the as it's titled, D machine in the time of E can't run. If you're doing this, and again, like you said, every second counts. That manip is going to be more important than, I think, honestly, finding life bots right here. I would take having this manip over not having life potions, and then just manipulate the turn order so Rosa can do my life grinding.
So this is the part of the run that gets, I'm not going to say boring, because it's not boring for those of us who were running it.
It is everything but boring.
Oh, don't worry. I make it exciting. You guys will be real excited real quick.
Like, I mean, what's going through both of your guys' minds at this point in time? I mean, we'll start with Dathus. It's like you're in your grind and you got to get in your zone. Like, what's going through your mind? Are you just trying to concentrate and trying not to focus? Is anyone not done yet? What's going through your head? And Dunk, I'm going to follow up with you after that.
So it's basically, I have a very, very nasty habit of not checking Tella's MP every time we go through. Like, I know it's up there for long enough, but I kind of get into the motion, get into like the habit of going through. And my entire train of thought was, if you don't watch Tella's MP, you are going to have a bad time. So it was, I'm like, okay, remember, this is what this character's doing. This is what this person's doing for this rotation. This is this rotation. It was basically do that well-oiled machine at the same time as, please let nobody done before I'm done this grind, or I will be very disappointed. Also, as said by Asuka in chat, the thoughts of heck. Yeah, basically.
I don't know. I mean, me personally, I'm doing it and I'm constantly going over and checking. Is there a dot done yet or not? Of course, also at this point in time, I've been here for a little bit. With you guys, I didn't take time to find life potions. So we had a stack of 15 to start the race. I just burned through them all, and I'm like, well, I guess that's my levels.
So as we're doing this, I also had Inven, as we're going from spot to spot, you see my pathing's a little messy. I have Inven's grind chart open, and I'm looking like, okay, Rosa's about this level. How many D machines do I need to get her to cure 4? And I saw the number, and I saw it was 20, I think 19 or 20. So I'm like, okay, 10 with double life glitch, plus I need the little wiggle room. In theory, I'm fine. But if I want to go up to the 20 or more, then I would like to have that little bit extra, again, in case something bad happens. Because I am basically Mr. Worst Case Scenario. I'd rather lose by a minute, but make sure I had the chance to finish on that like top 3, than hit top 10 because I didn't dot my T's and cross my I's.
So, Dunk, back attack, is this the one where we actually get it?
I think it is, yeah.
Duncan, do you hate the back attack grind as much as I do?
It's really interesting because you're used to going left instead of right. I wasn't going to reset out. I'm pretty sure this is it because it was just over 4 minutes. But yeah, it's a little awkward. Yeah, real quick too. And one thing I noticed when I set this up, I made a mistake when I realized where I was at, and it's huge because of the way this goes. My Palom and my Rosa need to be switched because I need that Rosa to be going before the Palom here, and it makes for some really awkward moments.
So I will say something that is nice about the back attack versus the front attack for the D machine grind. It looks like you and I are back to back for the fights. I mean, that's kind of entertaining. I do like that. Visually, it's nice, but when you're grinding it, it's just it personally bothers me. But yeah, I think where your Rosa's positioned is a problem because you want Rosa to be like, because she's killing your D machines, right?
I want Rosa to be killing him with aim, yeah. And the thing is, and there is a moment in here where I almost wipe as well because I think Palom can get a shot in and do enough damage, and he doesn't. And yeah, that demon, I think it's right here actually.
But you gotta spoil the stuff for chat. Come on,
it's in here somewhere.
Yeah, so we'll go full disclosure. I too get to a very scary position where I only have a single person left, and this is where I went from, man, I'm very happy with the way this is going, to if I could have a heart attack, it happened right here. So full spoiler for chat, that is going to happen. So at least it's not just one side that gets the panic; it's both of us.
Yeah, there's when you're going this low, there's a couple of things that you need to know, which is one, what's my magic at? Two, how am I going to heal? Because you still have to heal. And more importantly, who's going to be doing the damage that you know is not going to miss?
Yeah, and the big problem here is the agility is so bad for my characters, as you can see, because I had a nice grind, a nice little loop going where people would be going back and forth. Rosa would be doing the cure every time, but as you see here, I had to have Rosa use the life, and instead of Edge using the Thor Rage, it's Kane because of the way the turn order went out. Agility is a fickle mistress, and bless her. But this honestly screwed up, I think, a little bit of the grind and a little bit of my rhythm, because I had the cure, because the cure 2s from Rosa were so big, that little bit of extra HP. Yeah, it's a time sink, but I don't have to, because I can keep healing. We can keep healing percentage-based HP. She's healing enough to keep the grind going extendedly without having to take time for Tella to use a very, very weak cure 4, which is something I was not intending to want to ever do.
This is fun watching.
All right, who's gonna finish it first?
Well, I think I have a good idea who finishes it first, but
I'm on the edge of my seat, man.
Not the race, the grind, man.
Yeah, no, I think I still know who finishes the grind here first.
Shh, don't spoil.
Neither of you have really got to the point where you're down to one person and you're really kind of.
Here's where it gets
out
scary. Look at the HP that's left on that. So Yang being the person who attacks, I'm like, okay, Rosa, I need to get her for a quick hit in. Nope, she's not going to do it.
Oh, that's scary.
And this is where I panic. I'm like, can Yang do it? Because I can Ed do it. This is where I had the heart attack. I'm like, you know what? Tella, you've been doing everything so far. Just keep carrying the team. I don't care if I double life this one or not. Just kill it.
This is clutch, though, David.
Yeah, that is scary. I mean, that's the game right there.
Yep. For those of you who didn't see, this was where how panicky I absolutely got to. And if you see, Tella actually has 2 HP less than I believe what he was taking during the fires. So if I did not use a Cure 2 on him, I would have absolutely wiped right there.
But I think it also speaks to the importance, and this is something that I think all would-be runners need to know as well, is that you can't bank on everything going perfectly every run. You have to know how to recover.
Yeah, and speaking of recovery, at this point, I'm like, okay, Tella, you've used MP for weak, you've used MP for virus. At this point, burn your MP, heal with that Cure 3, which did so very much. And just get me back into my grind. And in all honesty, it was kind of good and kind of bad, because I get back into the rhythm with Edge throwing out the Thor Rages, then I see him like, oh, wait, hold on. No, it's the same rotation that I just had that I was not happy with. Well, let's do this again.
Dunka, have we gotten to the point where you were concerned for yourself as well?
You know, now that I think about it, maybe it was the practice seed before this. Maybe, I think it might have been right here, actually. I'm trying to remember where it was. You know what? I might have lied. Maybe it was the seed before where I fell behind. Because this seems very under control.
Nothing is quite as, like, clinchy as Dathus's was right there, if I'm honest.
Oh, I mean, you can't go any lower than that.
One fire from death. Yep, that was. I was like, okay, can Edge get the hit? No, and this is where I started panicking.
You actually, you almost. If that was me in that situation, I might have just held the button down and seen if I could get Tella to get a melee kill. Just overall just super panicking, because that virus is not fast.
No, virus is an instant cast. Virus and
ahead
Quake are both instacast as far as I remember.
Okay.
That's why I wasn't panicking. I'm like, okay, Virus, we have to get it. Just go. And as you see, I put down Tella. In theory, I could keep him up, let him get these levels, and use the curse ring that was in Damcian. But I'm like, no, you did all your work. Have a nice nap, Tella. And yeah.
Yeah, it looks like people in chat are confirming Virus does have a cast time here. I thought so as well, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, maybe I'm just getting things confused. I'm getting old. Give me a break.
Okay, so from Antidale confirming in chat, Quake is not instant cast, but the Virus and Nuke are. Also, did you see what was in that loot pool? 2 Hourglass 3s. I was set for whatever fight came up.
Oh my goodness. So Dathus, this C just gifted you an Hourglass 1 and 2 Hourglass 3s.
Yeah, I was like, if there is a free fight incoming, this seed basically telegraphed it to me, and I'm like, there's a free fight. There's this. I honestly thought, I'm like, there's not going to be a free fight. Crystal Ulcer is going to be a nightmare, and these Hourglasses are going to mean absolutely nothing. And actually, so as we're walking about this point, and Duncan, so look at this. You were 5 minutes behind me, but you also finished your grind, what, about 30 seconds to a minute and a half behind me?
Yeah,
you got that grind real quick. My wipe, or my Nai wipe almost saved it. Yeah, as I'm walking out, I'm like, you know, it'd be really hilarious. We just do all this grinding, and Alt Gauntlet is hidden behind the Crystal Altar. That would have been funny. I would have laughed really hard.
Yeah, this is the only thing that is outstanding is what's the last fight.
Well, we'll see in a second, won't we? But
it's exciting.
If it okay, spoiler, it's not the Alt Gauntlet, but
it is not the Alt Gauntlet.
If it were Dathus, that would have actually been preferable for Dathus, I think, between all the Hourglass drops that he ended up getting, right?
I got none.
I think there is one fight that is the Dragons where that doesn't affect it, but I've got the equivalent of 3 different Hourglasses for 3 out of 5 fights. So I've got 3 fights that are going to be a joke. One fight, which at that altar, I know the first fight is
it's the floating
Plague
eye.
Light. It's Plague Light, essentially, is what I call it. And then there's the Carry Warlock fight is one of the other ones. I'm like, okay, no, that's an Hourglassable. Everything else is worth it. And I think the Hourglass Dragon, but it was sorry, not the Hourglass, sorry, the Warlock Dragon, but yeah, it was basically just run.
So at what point in the race do you guys stop looking to see if there's a dot done? Or is that something
Never.
you don't ever look at?
I actually did a good job. I was looking up until going into the Z fight. And then the Z fight, I was telling myself, do not look to the right. Because that's on my other screen. And I was like, do not look to the right. And just constantly look left. And I did a good job of that. But boy, it was up until this point, I'm half looking at the screen and half looking at the for the duns.
Yeah, I have mine up on the left-hand side, so I have it. So my tracker and my 2 different trackers are right above Discord, just so I can watch. And my entire time, because I know I'm one of the people who, as I get ready into Z fights, that's when I see people start dunning, and I'm like, I'm hitting to the last area. Do I see anybody typing? As I run through here? And with seeing nobody typing, I'm just like, what is going on? Maybe this is a really rough Z, or maybe people are just taking a long time for their grinds. Because this is where it's like, again, it's either you finish first, or as Ricky Bobby says, you're first or you're last. And you got to know, it's like, how close to first were you to tasting that? So that's why I had to keep my eye on it. I had to know.
All right, so doing a little bit of party setup here, Dathus. Dunka is right on your tail, and you have Tella at his lower levels. So you're just maybe a little bit shaking, wonder what's going to happen, and oh why, it's another free fight.
Jeez. Throw it.
This seed was so ridiculous. This seed was just dumb.
And the fact that the reason why I put Yang at the top, I'm like, if this is a free fight, he can take any hit from anyone with that much HP, so I don't care. Also, I'm not gonna lie to you, I thought about going to Medio. I'm like, do we swag? Oh, and I'm like, no, don't play with fire here. Just stone them, let Tella get up, get those levels, his agility's fine, and just be done.
Yeah, stone was the play. I mean, hey, let's insta-kill everything right now.
Oh, hey, look. That is a shiny weapon for Cecil, or also the French vanilla reward from here, or as I like to call it, something for Edge to do damage with.
True, something to throw.
Yeah, the my entire reign of thought here was I need to have with the spoon. I'm like, okay, so Edge can be in the back row. He can throw the spoon and still do decent damage. Probably going to be a chemist for me of some sorts, and over like that. And it was going to be Kane and Yang doing the heavy lifting of damage. I say heavy lifting with a flame claw and a flame sword. I wish it was a flame spear for a better animation, but flame sword.
Yeah, I had a less favorable fight here.
Yeah, no hourglasses for you, Dunka, on your end.
Nope, did
And
not
then
get a single one.
Stone whiffed.
Yeah, I missed the first one, so it was not. Yeah.
Palom.
Luckily, Palom doesn't.
I was
bite
at least
here.
Palom didn't bite the dirt here. This could have
Yeah,
been
I would have had to reset at that point. Remember, it took 4 minutes and change to find those D machines.
All right, and an Excalibur, another shiny weapon to throw. So for all of us who did not actually watch the race and are just tuning in for this runner's review, the final question becomes: whose butt are we going to kick in this seed?
I hope it's Potato Mus.
If it was Ultra Miss, it would have been worth it.
I would have laughed really hard. But yeah, so the entire time I'm going down to the Z fight, I have two thoughts going on. Like, where's the dot done? And I'm like, why did I call the fact that I should practice low bad equipment Z fights to see what levels I could do this at? Like, in my own head, like 2-3 days before this race even started. And lo and behold, this is like the most bargain basement, low item run I think I have ever seen, aside from like Kata seeds. And I'm just panicking. Like, how much damage am I going to do? Did someone like go and find people to reflect with? Was that Palom technically worth it here? With everything here, if I'd replaced Palom with Kane, I may have had a slightly faster fight with the Yang, but overall, I'm still very happy with the team I ended up with.
Yeah, you got three melee fighters at this point in time. No one really to reflect off of, but at this point, I don't know if that's. I mean, that
Yang.
Well, yeah.
Yang has just like the pile of HP, and I would just have to deal with him being weakened. And also, if we get Z's music from BigDunka, you don't want to play it from my end because I was not having.
Do not play it on mine.
We're actually playing back because both of you guys were
Trust me.
terrible.
You don't want my audio.
Just be sure to like mute right after, I guess. But yeah, look at the damage that we have going from Kane. 1,700 melee attacks. What a boss right there.
Yeah, and this is the reason that I wanted to do hybrid strats, is because I didn't want to spend any time even attempting to find equipment for anybody.
Yeah, this fight was basically, I knew the Whis was going to go. I'm eating the first Big Bang. Tella's going to die. That's no big deal. He did his job. He crystalled and then he zerked. I didn't find anything for nerfing, so I'm like, Rosa, you are going to just eat up your MP with Cure 4s. That's all that matters. And this is what she's doing for the remainder of the fight. Berserk, Cure 4, and making sure that I'm topped up for these fights.
And then, Dunka, you're setting up reflect strats as well. I think, Dunka, you and I had, pretty similar party setups at this point in time. Of course, getting your darts out pretty early. Excalibur, Spoon.
Shenanigans. Where was that silk web?
Oh man, that was in a pot pickup somewhere. Or it was in I don't remember. It was in a chest pickup.
Ooh, if that counter nuke into Big Bang though.
Yeah, I think Edge does Edge buy it here? I don't think he does. I think he's okay.
Wow, that roll. What luck, my guy.
Nah, he's fine. He's fine. Oh, don't come to me about bad. I wouldn't have been in this race if I hadn't had a max roll on Rosa in the play-in one.
Ooh,
I would not have
that's
even
harsh.
been in this race.
Yeah.
I had a max roll on Z, and then the dot done was 30 seconds later.
So you see here on my screen, I look at my character's HPs and my HP, and I'm just like, okay, Rosa has enough HP to survive a decently high roll Big Bang, but I've seen Big Bangs roll 2,300 on well-equipped Rosas. The nicest thing she has is a Lunar Staff. I am taking absolute zero chances right here. So I burned an extra turn, a little bit of time to cure her up, but this is where it's like, she lives or I lose. And then, as you see, it's just like, again, put everyone back up to full because there's no messing around with health at this point. And thankfully, she eats only an 1,800 of the 22 she would have originally had. So I would have been fine. Still doesn't mean I wasn't panicking there.
And you're about to see here that agility doesn't make any sense in this game.
Hey, Palom, look, dude, come on.
Yeah.
I like you, man. Why do you have to do that to yourself?
Yeah. So
yeah.
I thought with the 2 with the cursed Tella, I thought I was very familiar with what this was going to be, and when that happened right there, I knew my agility was off, and I had to slow this down dramatically.
Yeah, and so going here, so Black Hole comes out on my squad, and my thoughts are exactly this. Edge, you're doing maybe 1,200 damage with hits from the back row because I couldn't find a boomerang, so you are my lowest level, my lowest damage. Kane, you're number 2, you get Berserk second. Yang is pumping out 2,300 reliably, upwards of 3-ish K at some point. So I'm like, you are going to be doing nothing but throw Berserks on in order. And the fact that I had to say this to myself was the dirtiest thing ever. It was Yang, Kane, and Edge. Also, spoiler, Duncan, did you know what was in Evelyn Castle item-wise?
No, not a clue.
There was a Mirasame and a Masamune. We heard
Wouldn't that have been
afterwards.
nice to have?
That would
I
have
would
been
have changed
so
my
nice to
strat.
have.
I would have absolutely changed my strat.
But there's the Flash. Emperor's gone after rocks falling, taking out the Edge that did so much early game work with Tella, and then did probably arguably more damage than Kane by throwing the spoon in the X-Cal.
I mean, but all of his damage is front loaded, so after that he can go take a nap, let everyone else get their turns in, right?
100%. Yeah, he was not there for much outside of that.
Yeah, and I had forgotten that I almost wiped in this.
It looks like you're having to get things set up a little bit, so you back up and rolling right now. But Dathus does finish with the win here and advances to table stages. And I hope both you and Twisted Flags represent the Hook folks well, because all of our hopes and dreams are in you guys now.
So, a little bit of a funny story from all the play-in races. I was part of the Gilgamesh group where I went 0-3, and then I clawed my way to here. The funniest thing is 3 out of the 4 people from Gilgamesh all made tables, all had to come in through play-in races. So I'm not excited to see another rematch with my boys, but in the same token, it's kind of impressive the fact that we went from a group that had a lot of good like that and just like coming back like that. It was awesome.
Wow, that's super good, because I know like Twisted Flax was in my group in Tri-Talk, and we were all right there, and that was also a pretty good group. But yeah, that Gilgamesh group, whew, loaded. And this, I mean, this shows, because Dathus does finish in first place. Dunka is number 2 in this race, so the margin, we're sitting at about a 2-minute margin right now. And I don't know, I think the Flash has got to be coming here soon.
I thought that was going to be the one right there, but yeah. Yeah, I forgot that. I honestly, I don't even remember the fight. I don't even remember this fight.
So I also...
wow.
Oh, Palom, no. Oh, man. Dunka. Wow, that's
No,
kind of scary.
honestly, it's at this point now. The problem here is I'm on my last Starveil, so I had to wait for that to cue that black hole before he did anything. But I knew that he was completely on life support here, so I just had to go for the gusto here. But remember how much time it was I was spent losing, or I lost looking for that D machine? 4 minutes and change. Remember that.
And to be fair, again, you made up a lot of it during that grind too. Like I took a hot minute and you were really behind me so close.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's the flash there. So it does finish about 52. So it was absolutely less than the 5 minutes of finding that.
Yeah, it's funny. The day before, I was like, you know what? I really don't know how this manipulation works. To tell you the truth, I haven't looked much into it. There's no way it's going to come up. You can go back and view the practice that I did the day before. It's in there.
Also, don't swap to music right away. I still have my own music playing for a minute. If you want to give the people what we had, because you have to give up what the music was at the end. But yeah, it took me a few minutes.
Oh,
also,
dude, that's awesome music.
Yeah, so I
never looked.
I think about in 10 seconds or so we can swap over to my audio. Because I did, again, have my own music playing. Additionally, I want to apologize to whoever's in my chat who said GG. I spent 15 minutes after the seed going, being very excited and walking around and getting a drink.
I think I was face palming, so I think this text stays up for a little bit.
Yeah, I think we can all relate to after a any sub-hour seed in a large group race like this. I think we all kind of had to take a step back and decompress, get a drink, do whatever else you need to do to lower your heart rate at some point, and then just kind of go, what did I experience? Because I'm right there with you, Duncan. Like, I don't remember the fight at all.
I thought it was a much cleaner fight than that. Honestly, I'm looking at it and I was like, really? It was that bad? But yeah, I don't remember the fight at all. It's a complete blur.
I mean, you were still going in at lower levels than I did. I think I did probably a couple more D machines than what you did in addition.
Yeah, I think you were just slightly ahead. I think I did 21 because I got a triple in at one point, or maybe it's 19.
But either way, thank you both, Dathus and BigDunka, for joining us on this runner review. I mean, this was just an absolutely fantastic race, I think, across the board. All runners who ended up going through this, you had to kind of brace yourself for everything that this seed was going to throw at you right from the get-go. 24 runners, only one can advance, and we were prepared for some really kind of odd routing, but honestly, it just became find your grind and go. Both of you guys, really, my heart goes out to both of you, and fantastic job running. Good luck to Dathus as he continues through table flags. Also, BigDunka, big shout out to you as well. Also, shout out to the folks behind the scenes who are helping us out with everything right now. Asuka424 with the restream right now, and our trekker, Gundam Pilot Spaz, who had to click all of 5 buttons for this particular runner's review. Shout out to you, Gundam. Make sure to go ahead and follow us here on Free Enterprise. Also, our partner channels over at RPG Limit Break and Randomania. Make sure to follow us over on the Discord, because starting next week, really, we have the table flags going. The top 32 runners in this tournament, and it starts soon. Make sure you follow us on the Discord and on those channels for all of the tournament action. Otherwise, that's going to do it for us, and it looks like we're going to be rating someone, if anyone sticks together. Looks like we'll be rating Sameta. Okay, yeah, we'll be rating Sameta on their stream over there. So stick around, one of the newer members of our community, but let's show them some love. Everyone gets a little bit of love sometimes. thank you all for joining us, and we will see you at the next race.